There are a couple things that are now made official after last night's game against the Portland Trailblazers. And the first one is, and there's no doubts about, despite what Masai Ujiri, with Darko Rajakovic, which some of the players have come out and said following this year's trade deadline, even after all the moves that sort of indicated this, with Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, our vets getting dealt away from this team. I don't think it was a lie. I don't think, the quotes about making a push for the play-in were the Raptors being disingenuous. I think that was actually their goal for the second half of the season, but now with all the injuries that have sustained, and even the little glimmer of hope were a couple wins, the people that still want to see this group get some W's, beating the Charlotte Hornets while the team was still significantly injured. All those types of things, may have been the case, but it is official. We can drum it up here now at this point as the Toronto tank in 2024. It's happening. The tank is fueled up. It's on that road through the sand dunes in Toronto. The ammunition is loaded and is in full steam as the Toronto Raptors, while they made the game exciting. And again, we're looking for positives, during this second half or last quarter of the season, right? We're looking for some things, and there were some nice takeaways from last night's game against the Portland Trailblazers, but there are a couple things that indicate to me we're going to see a nosedive in terms of losses happening for the Toronto Raptors in the second half of this year, and the Raptors are probably going to lean into it. And it seemed like there were a couple things they did which leaned into it last night. So the tank is officially on. We'll take a look at the standings, the things we're going to be looking for in terms of the standings watch, for the second half of this year. And the second one has to do with Dalano Banton. So lots of stuff to dive into in this video. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. It's going to be a fun little end of the season. We're going to be breaking down all the latest developments with our young players. The future of this team will be built during this year. And I'm sure a lot of people aren't watching Toronto Raptors games. So if you want to stay up to date with it all without having to, watch this sort of tanking year, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into the Toronto Raptors' current state. Because again, the Portland Trailblazers, you look at in the standings right now, I guess it's Eastern Conference standings, but they are 18-45. Now, they've been 3-7, which seems like an improvement on this team, here now. And they don't really have a loaded roster in terms of name talent there in the, their starting lineup. Anthony Simons is a guy. DeAndre Ayton's a player. He had a solid night last night's game. But the first thing I have to address, and he's in the thumbnail of this video, so I may as well discuss him first. Former Toronto Raptor Dalano Banton. Again, left the Toronto Raptors in the offseason, went to the Boston Celtics, didn't really find his footing with the team, and apparently, Dalano Banton obviously loves Toronto and stuff, it's his hometown, but asked to sort of be dealt away, and, the team wasn't that happy with his sort of development, even though it seemed like they wanted to keep him around. Well, it's looking like a mistake that Dalano Banton was dealt away. Now, I made a video on his sort of resurgence with the Portland Trailblazers a week or so ago, and some people said I might have jumped the gun on him, calling for a breakout season and stuff, but, he had a 30-piece, I believe, in the last game, and then last night against the Toronto Raptors, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, went 5 of 8 from behind the three-point line, 9 of 16 from the field, just doing all the things that, again, Raptors fans knew. We knew this man is loaded with potential, and again, he's doing it on a team that is, tanking in terms of the Portland Trailblazers there, but currently the Blazers have him playing over their sort of second overall pick, Scoot Henderson, and Matisse Thybulle, two former, guys with lots of potential, still have some potential on this team. I mean, Dalano Banton getting some serious run here with the Blazers and putting up some dumb and wild stats. And the shooting is another thing that's just really impressive, at least in last night's game. And regardless, if you think it's just him putting up big numbers on a bad team, regardless of that, someone that is capable of putting up these types of numbers to have on the deep bench, instead of a Garrett Temple, not to bash on having a vet, in the locker room. I think he's been a nice presence around this Toronto Raptors team. I don't know. I think the Raptors, whether or not he wanted to leave or not, may have jumped the gun on sort of letting him walk in free agency last summer. So I don't know. It feels like a mistake to me. Something that had to be sort of addressed and talked about, and but the real thing, we're worried about the Toronto Raptors. We're looking forward, never looking back, on this team. And especially we're going to have to be looking deep into the future now with how the Raptors games have been going here now. But the Raptors, again, are officially tanking. And we can just look at the lineup and see that this is really the case. Abaji's a shooting guard. He's playing our power forward position right now. We're running a lineup of tons of guards, tons of guys. At least Chris Boucher is getting a bit of run. But the Toronto Raptors even gave Jalen McDaniels some extended run in last night's game. And to be fair, he came out with some energy. He is limited on the offensive end. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but had 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. I think credit should be give credit where credit's due, for a guy that's coming in, staying ready for this Raptors group. But again, Emmanuel Quickley's been awesome. 10 of 21 from the field. No RJ Barrett in last night's game, who was out due to illness. Last minute sort of ordeal. Maybe could have played if it was an important game, but the Raptors knew the Blazers are a team that they can catch. In the Tankathon standings, look at 5 and 7. If we get them a little win and then we continue to lose, Dalano Banton continues to have big games. I think it was 40 chess. Masai Ujiri letting Dalano Banton walk to the Celtics and then go to the Blazers and just revamp their season. High IQs. Let them cook. Masai Ujiri there. I forget what graphic we have for that. But no, it's this team is rough. The first half of this game was really bad. It was a dread to watch. But in the second half, things turned around. Gary Trent Jr. is had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Again, this is tanking numbers. 10 to 26 from the field. Not an efficient night from Gary by any means. Overtime as well was kind of a mess. Grady Dick. Again, I'd like for him to sort of be putting up some better efficiency, better numbers, with this more opportunity. He had a really hot sort of January and February, but has cooled off a little bit as of late. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. The lack of Scotty Barnes in the lineup, I think, is going to affect Grady Dick significantly, but again, 20 years old, doing his thing out there. I'm not too worried about Grady Dick's future and stuff, but again, I also want to give credit. I want to give a lot of praise to Chris Boucher, who came off the bench tonight, in a season where he could really be phoning it in. He knows the Raptors are going to deal him away. He knows these are losing efforts. He gets it, but he's coming out regardless, throwing his body on the line, hustling on every single possession, and, spending his probably last month or so as a Toronto Raptor, playing his heart out. Maybe he's trying to get traded to a better destination, redeem his value, all of these types of things. So those could be factors rather than just trying to win games for the Raptors. But Chris Boucher is generally a hustler. He's a guy that lays it out there all on the line. I want to give praise to Chris Boucher for it's been a bad look how the Raptors have dealt with his situation. So the fact that he's coming out there and still performing well makes me happy. But Olynyk, again, 15, 8, 6, 2, 2. We know Kelly Olynyk's going to do his thing. The 5 turnovers, he's been turning over the ball significantly a little bit in recent weeks, which has me a little bit concerned, but I think in more of a bench role when Jakob Poeltl's in the lineup, those will, he's asked to do a lot here now at this point. So that's, I'm not too concerned about Kelly Olynyk's turnovers. Abaji, again, 7 points, hasn't, he's showing flashes. He's showing flashes of things that make me excited, have me amped up as a Toronto Raptors fan. But again, there are concerns with his efficiency, his numbers along those lines. Hasn't been, lighting the world on fire in terms of his jump shooting. Jordan Nwora continues to be a bucket off the bench. Only 12 minutes, just earning minutes, man. Jordan Nwora is, in terms of young guys, the Raptors should be evaluating. He's a guy that definitely is going to be turning heads in terms of the front office, in terms of everything like that. But, Javon Freeman Liberty didn't stand out crazy. Again, lots of ugly basketball here now at this point for the Toronto Raptors. But a few turnovers, 6 points. I like his game. These are growing moments for the Toronto Raptors here now. So I'm happy that the team is leaning into playing the younger guys. Not crazy takeaways we're gonna lean into breaking down. I went into OT. Jalen McDaniels getting lots of run. That game may have been taken. Dalano Banton, helping the Toronto Raptors in whatever way we can. Because, again, we're only 1 game back of the Grizzlies. That getting to 6, instead of 7, it improves our odds of getting into the top 4, of course. It gives us a 5% sort of chance increase. And then also, if we stay at 6, no draft, no one leaps over in the draft or anything like that. Again, it just helps our odds in staying in that position because the Raptors need to keep their. We don't need to because we lose our draft pick for next season. I don't imagine the team is going to be. I'm hopeful, depending on the moves we make in the offseason, but unless there's a major sort of roster turnover, roster turnaround, right? But there is a benefit in bringing in a guy early, bringing in a guy into your team, having that other extra year of NBA experience, closer to the Scotty Barnes timeline rather than get extremely young. But so I'd rather keep our draft pick for this year, but I'd like it to be number 1. That's what I want to see in this year's draft. And then again, beating the Portland Trail Blazers, it might be a tough task. It might be a tall tale. But who knows? Maybe the team could catch the Portland Trail Blazers, get into the bottom 5, and then we really sort of increase the odds of, keeping that draft pick. If we can get to 5, that would be huge for this team. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors sort of news to this game, everything that's gone on. You guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.